Welcome to Limbwalkers. If one will never venture out on the limb, one will never taste the fruit. Hi, I'm Will Glaros with my co-host Adriana Alvarez.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Doing great and glad to be in. I always like sharing these concepts, and it's kind of fun doing it with, I don't mean it the way this says, with a younger person, because you get both sides of the spectrum. I mean, things I've learned have come with 60-some years worth of time learning them. You're just getting into the midst of it, and most of what you've learned has been from family or friends or whatever. So it's kind of cool to be able to have two different points of view, speaking from two different, maybe three different generations in separation. So what are we going to talk about today? What do you want to know from me?
Well, first, I want to kind of go through what we've already been talking about to just kind of refresh our audiences. Sometimes they're listening through every single episode, and then sometimes we're catching brand new audience members. So I think it's kind of good to just go through what we've been talking about. And we first started off with the 3 types of people and which ones we are. And you can either be a natural, a nurtured, or a nomad. Nomad, you're kind of just out and about, winging it. Nurtured, you kind of have a bit of a guided path. And a natural, you're just naturally good at everything.
Boy, you learn quick.
Yes,
that was good. Very good.
Then we have the ones who is born to win, and how hard you want to work at your goals and aspirations, because like how you were saying, everybody is born to win at some capacity. It's just how much they want it in that sense. And then lastly, what we are talking about is why somebody is unique and why they are special. And last episode, you had read us something, and you kind of went a little bit more in depth about that. And we're taking those lessons, and we're kind of moving forward into our next topic. But for that last one, why people are unique and special, I feel that this ties in so much so with this next one of why time is so special and valuable. Because with people being unique, being special, being their own individual person, that is made by time put in and what their experiences are. So what is this question? Why is time so special and valuable?
I think it's special and valuable because as we sit here on the air, we're going to be on here for two programs, hopefully, and half an hour in time. That is one half of an hour that none of us can recapture again. It's gone. I have no idea. You have no idea. No one has an idea of when their last day on this earth and last hour on this earth is going to be here. So every hour we have is special. And as they count down to fewer and fewer hours, the more special they become. And therefore you should spend your time doing those things that are important to you and worthwhile to you. That's why, honestly, why I'm doing the Limbwalker podcast is because I don't think morbidly about the fact, oh, my God, I could die tomorrow. But I know I've got a certain amount of time, and I want to share all these things that I've learned by living life myself. I've learned by listening to other people and being engaged with other people who have been successful or had tremendous losses and overcome them. This is the program you can find those answers on, and that's why I challenge people to go out on that limb. I've tasted a lot of fruit I never would have tasted of life if I hadn't been willing to do that. So that's kind of why time is so valuable, because you have so little of it left, and what you've got to spend it wisely, trying to make things better in some way.
Yeah, I look at that aspect and how, like, that perspective of it, that we don't have a lot of time. And it kind of, I laugh at the aspect of, like, I understand we don't have a lot of time. Time goes by so fast, but then there's also moments where time feels so slow. And then it just speeds up so fast and it goes so slow. But then at those slow moments feels like they vanish out of nowhere.
You know, I will tell you, as one of the things I've noticed as I've gotten older, is that time vanishes that much faster. It is because you've got, you're trying to prioritize the things that mean something to you. And while you're doing that, it's just like it flashes. I remember when my kids were first born, all of the challenges of being a parent, every day was, it was kind of like, oh, when's this day going to end?
Yes.
Now it's like, God, I wish I had another 30 hours or more to go through it. So, yeah, time is a strange thing. It impacts us in different ways. And sometimes I think you need those moments, like you mentioned, where it drags, because you need to really think about it. Typically that happens when you're going through something that's a little more trying, and it gives you more time to think and to process, which actually gives it more value to you because you're spending more time on it.
Yeah, and also with that, I feel that is such a great kind of idea and way to think about stuff, especially with the main tagline that we have: if one never ventures out on the limb, one will never taste the fruit. Right. If you don't look at time being special and valuable, you'll never taste that fruit. You'll never get to that end goal. So I think that just pairs so well with just the kind of overall idea of what this podcast is about.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I'm trying to do, or we're trying to do, is to give people an opportunity to rethink what they think is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Nothing. Anyone can do anything if they put their mind to it, that they can do it. And how many times I've mentioned this to you, you have to visualize it, write it down. Now, this is kind of a goal-setting thing, but write it down. Something you want badly enough, write it down in enough places and read it again and again, and your subconscious will actually help you create the way to get to that goal that you're after, whatever it may be.
Yeah, and then there's also some of these that I do have questions on. No loans on time. So what does that exactly mean?
Well, time is a limited asset, so we can't go somewhere and expand on that time in quantity, but we can in quality. So that if we spend our time appropriately, we're going to get more out of the time that means something to us, that we're doing something we're engaged in. I just read a piece the other day, I think I mentioned on the air, that I read a lot of books by Stoics. And it basically said, don't worry about tomorrow, because if you do, you've got 2 times the worry, because you worry about it today and then you worry about it tomorrow. Why are you wasting your time? You can't do anything about it anyhow, if it's something you can't change. If it's something you can change, then you try to find creative ways to get the solutions that you need.
And that also ties into the next part of that: there's no future guaranteed. So we look at time being so special, so valuable, because, like you said, like, not to think of it in a morbid way, but life, you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
So there's nothing guaranteed. And I look at that, but then I also look at who's born to win. And I'm looking at each of these and I'm tying both of them together. And we say no future is guaranteed, but you are still born to win. How badly you want your goal, your dreams, your aspirations, how much you want to work towards them, you have to put in that work, because no future is guaranteed. So it's kind of tying everything all together.
It is, and the word that you just said there is the one everyone many times forgets, and that's the word work. There are certainly people who just get lucky. It happens. It's like the natural, who just kind of gets it, and then they reach a point in life where they skyrocket from there, or they just plateau out because it's been so easy. They're not willing to work at it. But it's that hard work that you're willing to put into it. That's the grease that you're running your hands through and getting the job done. And that's what makes it all worth it. I've got a program we'll do down the road on, it's simple, compensation.
Yes.
It's all based on compensation. And it is simple to follow, and if you rationally think about it, there is no limit. If you're willing to put the time in and you have the right thing you're working in, there is no limit on what you can achieve by using that concept of compensation. And it's just well, I won't get into it today. I get so excited about this stuff. I want to advance it, so I think I'll hold off.
So moving forward from that, because we talked a lot about why time is so special and valuable. And the last thing that we are going to talk about today is, why do you want to learn how to laugh at yourself? Now, I look at this and I think of just like so many different things and just so many moments in life where they'll look and it's like, oh my goodness, you have no social anxiety. You just aren't scared to just do anything. I was like, I'm never going to see these people ever again. And if I do, we can laugh about it later. So that's the first thing that I think about when I see, why do you want to learn to laugh at yourself? So what does this entail?
Okay, well, I'll do a little demonstration if I can do it here sitting down. Normally, I've been doing this for years with groups of kids. First, it was the kids in the neighborhood that we lived in 20-some years ago, 30 years ago. And then it got into doing it for an art and action class I've taught for probably the last 20 years, maybe more than that, because I did it for my daughter, I did it for my son, for their classes, and then I've done it at St. Paul's Church in Valparaiso for the last 7 years, of which I haven't had a grandchild, and that they're there, but not in the grade we do it in, first grade. But when we start the class, the first thing we do is I make them all stand up. And then, in fact, I'll demonstrate doing it the way I do it.
I was going to say, can we get a little zoom out of the camera here so that way we can capture you in frame? Yeah, we can do it like that.
All right. So here's the deal. I tell the kids to stand up, separate their legs like they're a football player, equally balanced. Then I tell them to put up one thumb, and I tell them, good. One thumb, good. Two thumbs, better. What sign is this, I ask them. And they typically guess multiplication. And then I start all over again. One thumb up, two thumbs better, multiplied. It is the silliest looking thing in the world. People say, how can you do that and disgrace yourself in front of the kids? But I will tell you, I can do it because I'm not afraid to laugh at myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I am who I am. I'll do stupid things. I'll do great things. And I'm willing to laugh at myself if it helps other people realize they need to do that too. You need to learn to laugh at yourself so nobody can laugh at you.
Yeah.
They can only laugh with you. And therefore you learn to not take yourself so seriously. And I think if someone will adopt that theory in life, they'll be a lot happier. People are so upset all the time. Oh my God, I didn't have the right thing on. Oh God, I wore the wrong shirt. In fact, I'm not sure I got the right shirt today with the sweater. But you know what? I don't care. If somebody laughs, I'll laugh right along with them, because you have to learn to laugh at yourself in order to truly enjoy your life.
It's kind of like putting a smile on somebody's face, even if it's like, because I think we talked about this earlier on the program, but if not, it might have been on a different one, where I have friends that they go out of their way to make strangers smile. And if you can do that by a compliment, by a nice gesture, and or by making them laugh and you're laughing with them, I feel that that's just making and adding just more positivity into the world when there's so much negativity around with anything that you see.
Well, let me tell you what it does, too. It isn't just you that it impacts and the people that see you do it live. But I still have kids to this day that lived on our block 30-some years ago, and kids in the schools, when I go back to the schools and I'm walking down the hall, they will stop and go, yo, Mr. Glaros. And they'll go, one thumb up, good. Two thumbs up, better. Multiplied. And they'll do that entire thing in front of their friends. They don't care. And I know that when they're willing to do that, I've got a person on the checkbox has learned to enjoy and laugh at themselves.
And how we were saying that no one can laugh at you, only with you. We kind of tie that into why somebody is unique and special, and how they are one of a kind in that sense. Like, yes, how you're saying that you have the neighborhood kids that they're doing the two thumbs up, but then also they take that and they add their own spin on that, and they make that into their own.
Yeah, I mean, what we never know is the long-term effect of anything we do. Mm-hmm. And so we can affect people in basically one of three ways. We can have absolutely no effect on them because we're that nomad type person. Or we can have a big effect on them by doing something positive or negative. And I guess I was blessed with parents that from a very young age, they said, if you can't leave the day feeling good about the way you've left the day, then it hasn't been a good day. So even if it's the last thing at the last moment of the day, do something positive and do something rewarding for someone else. And you'll feel it yourself. So
Nice. Well, as we wrap up a little bit here, we got about maybe 5 more minutes. If we want to kind of tie into all of this of what we've been talking about so far today. So the one lesson that we were talking about today is, why do we want to learn how to laugh at yourself? And we are cutting this up into 2 episodes. So in the previous episode, which will air, we talked about why time is so special and so valuable. So learning to laugh at yourself, tying that into why time is so special and so valuable, is it kind of how, in that aspect, that to not take life so seriously, because we are no future guaranteed, and it's not to say we're on limited time, but it's that factor that not to think of it in like the morbid aspect.
Bad.
Yeah, not to think of it in the morbid aspect, but it's the fact that we are here for only a certain amount of time that we don't know how long it is. Why should we stress? Why should we worry about so much when we can look at it in a different light?
Right. Well, I think, time is it's infinity or it's limited. We have no idea. To me, it's as simple as I know what I've got in front of me if I make it, and I'm going to spend every moment with goals I've set to get there. I really think I'm going to say this. I may say this on every program we do, but you need to read the piece by James Allen called As a Man Thinketh, because in each of the sections that they relate to, you realize that there is nobody that's going to make you successful or unsuccessful, sad or happy, but yourself. And that's a determination you need to make. You can certainly be impacted with all kinds of positive influence or very negative influence. If you want to take the negative, I can tell you what the result's going to be. If you're going to take the positive, I can tell you what the result. I can read the future, because you're going to become what you fill your mind full of, and it's everybody's choice. And that's why why I like the name Limbwalkers, because the people who walk that limb learn how to do that, to pick the positive, not the negative, to try to turn. To me, one of the greatest things is when I meet somebody that's really negative, and I begin slowly working to get them to be I'm not going to break through all the way, but to make them positive, because I know the joy that comes with making other people happy, and that's really what your ultimate goal is. It isn't selfish. It isn't really, I'm doing this for me. It's doing it in some degree, I guess it's for you, because you're doing it because it makes you feel good to see somebody else get those goals reached in their lives and move ahead.
There we go. I feel it's a perfect place to kind of wrap it all up.
Let me just say one thing, if I can. All of these questions we've been asking you to respond to or think about, the 3 types of people, who's born to win, why are you unique and special, why is time so valuable? All the things we've talked about, these are my questions that have helped me reach this point in my life and feel like I have reaped a lot of the extra goods out there that come on the limb by stretching a little bit. These may not be your same questions. They're valuable questions because they give you a little more insight on yourself and how tight you are or how you're already on the walk to becoming a more positive person. So, little interruption, but I thought I had to explain
Yeah,
it.
no, that's all good. That was actually my thing. I was going to be like, do we have any final thoughts and questions? But I feel that's a great place to wrap it up. And these will be cut into 2 different parts. And we'll kind of add those into our description here as we talk about these. And then moving forward, we have a couple more questions and then kind of take it from there as to what the Limbwalkers podcast will be. So, do we have any final comments for our listeners, our viewers?
I would just say stay the course. This is an easy thing to say. Think positive. It's better than thinking negative. Try to make somebody else laugh today and feel good about themselves because the reward is really yours and you'll feel it for yourself when you have someone